It says a man without self-control is like a city broken down without walls. Wow. Hello. Today is day 88. Yes, day 88. And that means by our countdown, we have 12 days more. Fantastic. Yes, 12 days more. And today we're going to be talking about the power of self-control. Yes, the power of self-control. And let me attempt to explain or define what self-control is. Self-control is the ability to manage our desires, our impulses, our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts, and ultimately to manage our behavior, especially in difficult situations, and also to prevent ourselves from trying to fulfill an immediate need while trying to achieve a futuristic goal. And self-control has a lot to do with delayed self-gratification, where you are looking at the long term, you are looking at the bigger picture. Instead of trying to fulfill an impulse or a desire that will give you gratification now, you are delaying it for the purpose of getting a greater advantage in the future. So that's self-control. And self-control is very, very important and very powerful because it affects every aspect of our lives. Every single aspect, our physical lives, our emotional lives, our finances, our career, our social lives and relationships, even our spiritual lives, because a man without self-control will probably not succeed in all these different areas of life. And one thing that really strikes me in that definition or in that concept of self-control is the principle of self-gratification or delayed gratification, as my husband would call it. Let me tell you a quick story about my husband. When we got married, I would give him, when I serve him food and put meat or chicken or fish or whatever on top, and then he would finish all the food and wait till the end before eating the meat. I'm like, dude, eat your meat. So I said, okay, maybe it's because the meat is not enough. I'll put like 2 or 3 pieces. He will still stay to the end before eating the meat. And I'm like, that I can never do. Once you give me my food like this, the meat, I will attack the meat first. And, I just could not understand it. And he would say it's delayed gratification, like it's delaying the enjoyment to the end. I'm like, I can't understand. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Are you the kind of person that will attack your meat first like me, or you're like my husband that will exercise self-control and delve into the meat at the end, We've been married 25 years and my husband still does that, and still I can't do that. Self-control is very important because it helps us to achieve our goals. It helps us to make the right decisions. And just going through all those different aspects of life, let's look at our physical lives, for example. If we don't have self-control, we can't be healthy. Because if you decide to do a diet, or you decide to exercise every day or walk every day, the way we are doing, or anything that has to do with improvement of your health, you need self-control, to not eat that next junk food, to prevent yourself from destroying your exercise regime. You need a lot of self-control. Is it our emotional lives? In our emotions, we need self-control as well, because it's self-control that will enable us not to flare up at the time when we need to be cool and calm. In our emotions, it's self-control that will make us not to be angry unnecessarily when we are supposed to be cool and calm. Self-control helps us to be able to, even in our social lives, for example, to navigate around difficult relationships. It's self-control that will make you not to raise your voice when you're supposed to be calm. It helps us in conflict resolution. People that don't have self-control, most of the time they can't keep friendships, they can't keep relationships. Even relationships that will help them in their lives, because of lack of self-control, they will end up destroying that relationship. And that carries on into career, because in career, in our career, in the workplace, trust me, you need a lot of self-control, to navigate around all sorts of relationships in the workplace, and even to be a leader, to grow in the corporate world, or to ascend the corporate ladder, so to say. You need self-control to be able to manage your emotions, to be able to manage people, to be able to have a high level of emotional intelligence. We need self-control. So if one does not have self-control, you end up failing in all those areas of our lives, emotionally, physically, even in our finances. It's self-control that you need some degree of self-control to be able to save, to be able to invest wisely, as opposed to spending all your money on immediate gratification. And in this day and age, there are a lot of things you can spend your money on, because everything is a lot of shiny objects around, But it takes a man with self-control to be able to say, I need to save now for my future, because you are delaying that self-gratification now in order to get something greater for your future and the future of your offsprings. So yeah, in our career, in our finances, self-control is very, very important. Even in our spiritual lives, self-control is very important, because it is self-control that will make us to be able to wake up in the night to pray. It's self-control that will make us to say, let me delay my food and fast, or let me read my Bible, or let me go on that spiritual retreat. We need a lot of self-control. Even as the students in our academics, we need self-control. As a student, it's self-control that will make you to say, let me not watch that movie now. Let me delay it. Let me focus on my academics. I have a test. Let me leave this, whatever it is I'm watching on social media, or wherever I'm calling, whoever I'm talking to, or that social event I have to go. Let me leave it for now and focus on my academics, because I have a test or an exam, So in every area of our lives, self-control comes into play. A man without self-control. There's a scripture that I learned when I was young. It's Proverbs 25:28. It says, a man without self-control is like a city broken down without walls. Wow. So that means that city is vulnerable to attack. That person without self-control is vulnerable to attacks, is vulnerable to marauders, to thieves, to anything. Anything can come in, because there's no self-control. The person allows anything to come in and destroy them. So anybody that doesn't have self-control, they are very, very vulnerable to destruction. So a man without self-control is always one step before destruction. Always one step before destruction. So yeah, self-control is very, very important. And I just want to say before I close that, how can we develop our self-control? I've looked at it. The thing is, I read somewhere that self-control is like a muscle, and I agree. And we all know that muscles, when you exercise muscles, they get stronger. When you don't exercise them, they get weaker. So in order to improve and increase our self-control, we need to exercise it. That's the only way. Start applying self-control in little things, in life. And the more you exercise that self-control, the more you get better, the more you are able to exercise that self-control in other different areas of your life. Let's take, for example, maybe in the physical aspect. Now you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle, for example. Maybe, for example, you are drinking 10 bottles of soda every day. I mean, that's just a random example. I hope nobody does that. But let's just assume you are taking 10 bottles of soda every day. Now, you want to control yourself. You can maybe say, okay, I'll reduce it to 8 today. Then start drinking 8. Then maybe after a month or 2 months, let me reduce it to 6. And incrementally like that, you continue to exercise your self-control with regards to that particular area of your life. Let's say in your finances now, you want to start saving. And you're the kind that you don't have control. Anything you see, you must buy. You can say, okay, I will be saving maybe $100 from my salary every month and put it in an account where I can't touch, And then you start increasing it like that until you get to your desired goal. Something like that. Those are just examples, and we can apply it to every area of our lives. Start small, increase until it becomes great. And by the time you're exercising that muscle, the muscle of self-control becomes bigger and stronger, and you're able to use it in every area of your life. So that's all I have for us today. Let me know in the comment section areas of your life where you are finding it difficult to exercise self-control, and maybe there's a method or a way that you have been able to overcome it. Let us know in the comment section so that people that are struggling with self-control in all these areas of their life, they can also learn from your own experience. Yeah, so that is it for today, and I'm going to see you when I'm done. Let's see how far we've gone. 51 minutes. I'll soon turn back because I'm working in the neighborhood today. So I'll see you when I'm done. Hello, I'm back. It's really hot today. Ah, let's see how far we've gone. 63 minutes. Yes, so today we've talked about the power of self-control, and we've seen how self-control is so vital, and it can affect every areas of our lives. So I just want to encourage us, as I'm encouraging myself, let's build the muscle of our self-control in every area of our lives. Let's build the muscle of our self-control. Let's delay that gratification, for the fulfillment of a long-term goal that we have. And I believe that as we do that, we're going to see loads and loads of benefits from it. If you've gotten any value from today's video, give me a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to this channel so that we can become a bigger community. So I'm going to see you tomorrow. Bye.